Well, everybody, it's almost Valentine's Day, and nothing says I love you to your children more than when you lose your cool and scream at them. If this is your life and you don't know what to do, watch the rest of this video. Welcome to the channel, everybody. I'm Dr. Nate Noble, behavioral pediatrician, clinical geneticist. I'm making these videos because I got a 12 to 18 month wait list, like everybody in my field, and I want you to be able to skip the line. So keep watching all the way to the end, and I'm going to give you some fantastic strategies on how to think about consequences of behaviors. And at the very end, I'm going to give you one of the most common mistakes that people make when they're trying to change the behavior of their children using consequences. Let's get started. Listen, the first thing I want you to understand about behaviors is you have to get yourself on the right side of the equation. So many people come to my clinic and they want to talk about how to stop a child from making a terrible decision. Now listen, if you've got kids, I got a bunch of them. I got a lot of them. There's no easy way to stop kids from making dumb choices, okay? There's things you can put in place that you can hope for the best, but kids are gonna be kids. The reason why so many people are so frustrated is because they're on the wrong side of the behavioral equation. They're on the how do I stop this from happening side of the equation. And that's reasonable, but I always say to people, listen, if I had the answer to that question and I could stop children from making terrible choices, do you really think I'd be shooting YouTube videos on my cell phone in the basement? Probably not. I'd be rich. You've got to get yourself on the other side of the equation. You've got to move away from how do I stop this from happening to what am I going to do about this problem when it happens. You want to put all your thought energy into controlling the side of the equation that you can control, not the behavior, your response to the behavior. Hey, let's take a quick break. If you're married, this is also an important thing, right? You got to deal with your side of things, not their side of things. Tell your spouse about you. Don't tell your spouse about them. Tell your kids about you. Don't tell your kids about them. You're an expert in you. So talk about you. Okay, unpause. That was free. Listen, when you get on the side of the equation that's what am I going to do about these problems, now we can have a better and deeper conversation. And in order to do so, I want to give you one more word picture, two actually. One is a vending machine. Listen, your children are at the vending machine of life, okay? And they put in their money and they make their selection and they push a button, and that button is disrespect my family, don't listen to my family, talk back, don't follow through on what I'm on my chores, or be nasty to my siblings or whatever. They push that button. And you know what often comes out of that vending machine? It's not V8 juice. What they deserve is V8 juice, okay? Listen, this video is not sponsored by V8 juice, and for good reason, because it's gross. Okay, I'm not supposed to, I'm just telling you, take the word juice out of it. It's just gross, okay? So, but V8 juice is supposed to be what comes out of that machine. You made a terrible choice. You pushed the button of, I'm not going to be a good family member right now. What comes out of the vending machine of life has to be equally disgusting. But so many times what happens is the kid pushes the button and out from the vending machine of life does not come V8 juice. It comes out with Sunkist or Sprite because their tummy hurts. Or maybe a little Coca-Cola because they miss their nappy. We change the order. Another metaphor is the menu, right? They order off the menu of life. And if they're ordering something disgusting, don't tell the server to change the order. Let them bring from the kitchen the most disgusting thing, knowing they're not going to eat it, because the child has to understand that they get things in life based on the choices that they make for the most part, okay? So when you think about consequences, get yourself on the side of the equation where you're thinking about what am I going to make sure that child gets off the menu that they order from? What are they going to get out of that vending machine when they make the selection for V8 juice? Is it V8 juice? Yes or no? Listen, because we're mostly adults, I know my target audience, your family members of children with special health care needs, your single moms, your single dads, you got kids causing problems, you're getting calls from the daycare, you're getting calls from the school, you're getting asked to come to an IEP meeting. I know my audience, okay? And when you're listening to this video, you already understand consequences, okay? But just understanding the fact that behavior should have consequences often isn't enough, and I want to explain a little bit more about what I mean. Let's first start with the absolute importance of having some kind of consequence for a behavior. A child makes a terrible selection, something needs to come out of the vending machine. We have to start there. You would be amazed. You would be amazed at how many people I see who really have a tough time explaining to me what exactly they do when a behavior is terrible. Okay? I've seen some families, rare but some, who actually don't use the word no in their home. Like they feel like it's a trigger word or something, I don't know, and I don't understand it. But that was a situation where I knew that it was going to be very difficult for me to lay out the natural progression of consequences as we respond to behaviors if I've got people who don't necessarily buy into the idea that a consequence is necessary. Listen, we are not raising children. We're raising adults. Okay, yeah, they're little now. They have little teeth and they need toothpaste that tastes like gum. I get that. But they're not always going to be small. Someday they're going to get big and they have to deal with the fact that people don't appreciate your selfishness. People don't take your perspective when you think you should just get to, budge in line or steal or self-medicate. Like, people don't take your perspective because that's not how the real world operates. And we need to raise children who are successful in reality. Okay? In reality. Not a reality they've created on a game, in reality. So because so many of you understand consequences, let's talk about them. Like, let's list them out. What do you think the most common consequences for behaviors are? Let's just list them. Okay, right now, you're thinking of multiple things. Timeout. Timeout's a good one, right? Basically what it's saying is, I love you, I respect you, you always have a seat at our table as a family, you always have a place with us, but right now your behavior has made it impossible for us to maintain a family dynamic. The connection is broken, you need to be removed. The only question you have to answer next is, how would you like to be removed? Would you like to walk to your room, or would you like to be carried to your room? But make no mistake, my friend, you are leaving this situation. We are going to withdraw attention from this situation for a specified period of time. Now listen, when you step into those environments, when you make those kinds of decisions, it's always important that you continue to make safe choices, right? Nobody's putting a kid in a separate space with some swords and a boa constrictor and one of those giant televisions that they can pull down on themselves and crush. You have to be smart, okay? You have to have some level of supervision or awareness of their environment while you withdraw attention from the child. But we all know that timeout is a common strategy. What's another common strategy? Removal of privilege. So you made a mistake, you were unkind in this situation, I'm going to remove this privilege from your life. Why doesn't this work? I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to talk about the state fair. Okay, I'm in Iowa. If you ever go to the state fair, you go to the state fair in Iowa. It's absolutely fantastic. You get a bucket of cookies and you live your life. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. But if you go on a weekend, you're going to be around a million people. A million people are going to be walking around and it's not going to be a great fit, and it's going to take several buses to get there. It's going to take all this stuff. You're going to have to walk long ways. It's a million degrees in Iowa in August. But it's fantastic and you should go. Internets, you should go, okay? But when you get there, right when you pay your ticket, after you've done all the stuff and you walk into the door and there's a million people and you haven't even gotten the line for the cookies yet, you're not going to turn to your child and you're not going to say, well, if you don't stop that behavior, we're going to leave the state fair. If you don't stop that behavior, I'm going to unplug the internet for a year. The reason why removal of privilege doesn't work is because we always drop the atomic bomb of privilege on the child, thinking that that's going to assert our dominance, but really it just makes you look dumb. When you remove privileges from a child's life, you want to micro slice it like a deli sandwich. Expensive sandwiches, typically from a deli, are micro sliced. They're thin, they're layered, they're wonderful. Don't take away all of the internet, just take away one application for a specified period of time. Something that gives you moves upon moves upon moves. You have to be able to know what's next and what's next and what's next. Why? Because you've chosen to spend your time on the right side of the equation, the side of the equation that says, not how to stop the behavior, but what I'm going to do about it, and I want to give myself as many moves as possible, right? You literally take out your little marker and you say, okay, Minecraft, done. What else would you like to lose? Oh, okay, you're going to push your sister down? Okay, well, let's go ahead and take away, YouTube Kids. I'm going to take that away for the evening. And I got a long list, kid. I got a bunch of them, and I'm fine with any one of these. The very last thing you want to do is remove all of the most valuable things from a child's life right away, a tsunami removal of privilege, right? Because if you do that, you have no more moves to make. And it's 30 below zero, and it's Saturday morning, and it's Iowa. Good luck. That's not going to be a great day for you, okay? So removal of privilege is another great one, okay? Sometimes people just use the good old-fashioned screaming at people. Now this one is probably my most favorite, but also my least favorite. My wife, and she's right, she would say to me, don't yell at the kids. And I always say, listen, when they were younger, I would yell at them. And I always say, listen, I yell at kids because the speed of my voice is faster than the speed of my body. and they're doing some really dumb stuff, okay? Listen, you yell, okay? I yell, and I'm just making a joke, but the truth is the reason why you yell is because you've probably already repeated yourself a bunch of times and you're frustrated by that. And on top of it, you yell because you're parenting from a place of exhaustion, from defeat. You yell because you're on your back, right? I'm not being critical. I got a bunch of kids. I've seen a bunch of kids. I know how this works. But the reason why yelling doesn't work is because it's not because it doesn't get the child's attention, right? But probably because they, A, hear it all the time, right? And B, you're parenting from a place of exhaustion, so they know that you're not going to get up and do anything about it, right? And when we talk in our next set of videos, I'm going to go through, some of the more important questions about behaviors, which are looking at the functions of behavior. Because the reason why a lot of these things don't work, I'm going to talk about in a minute, is because we're approaching it from the wrong function. We're using the wrong treatment or the wrong consequence, and it doesn't match the function of the behavior, and so it doesn't work. Okay. What are a few other things that people do to deal with the behaviors of children? Well, we've already talked about a couple, right? Sarcasm's a good one. Right? I'm joking, but that's a pretty worthless strategy. Okay, now let's get towards the end of this. As I've said, everybody knows that consequences are typically important, right? When you push the button on the vending machine of life, when you order something off the menu of life, you need to get what you've ordered. When I commit a crime, there is a punishment that is coming towards me because that's what happens. It's cause and effect. Okay? We all know the consequences. We've talked about them. Nobody learned anything about what I just said. You all know this stuff. Why don't they work? Why don't they work? Why is this video being watched by people? Okay, why is my clinic so busy? Why are developmental behavioral clinics? Why are psychology clinics? Why are psychiatry clinics? Why are we so busy? Because these strategies often aren't as effective as they need to be, and I'm going to tell you why. In the next set of videos, I'm going to talk to you about function. Okay, function is not the what of behavior, it's the why. Why does this child do it? If you punish someone approaching a behavior with a consequence that doesn't reflect the function of the behavior, the why of the behavior, it's not going to work. And you are going to be bashing your head against the wall. You're going to be frustrated. So the reason the behaviors often don't work is because you've got the function wrong. If you don't know what I mean, watch the next set of videos where I will talk to you about the 3 most common functions of behavior. Let me close this video by making good on the promise at the beginning. I'm going to give you one of the most common reasons why behavioral strategies within your home don't work. Okay? And the metaphor is this. In your home, one of the most common reasons behavioral strategies or consequences are not effective is because there's a good cop and a bad cop. There's a good cop and a bad cop. There's a good police person, there's a bad police person, okay? There's both. There's 2 messages. There's the one who lays down the law, who writes the tickets, who enforces things, right? And there's the other one who says, this isn't necessary. This isn't what we need to do. Oh, that's just silly business. Let's just snuggle and talk about our feelings and squeeze one of those little things and talk about how we feel about stuff and punch a pillow. Those are good things. I'm not being critical of those things, but if you wouldn't be watching this video if that fixed your problems, right? One of the most common reasons why behavioral strategies don't work in the home is because there's not just one response to a behavior, there's 2. And one of them is maybe hot, heavy-handed, coming at it hard. The other is maybe a little soft-handed, not quite firm enough or consistent enough, and they undercut each other, sending 2 separate messages to the child. So then the child hears dueling banjos. I got this person's playing this song, I got this person playing this song, and I just know if I don't like what I get over here, I just go over here. Huge mistake. In your home, there is no good cop or bad cop. There's only cop. How do you figure that out? You talk with your significant other, your spouse, your co-parent, whatever that is, and you come up with a list of responses to these behaviors. And you make it a short list, and you agree not to undercut each other. You do that. You do that for 2 or 3 behaviors, and I promise you, you will go from watching videos on YouTube to making videos on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. More videos to come.